I have something very interesting to tell you about the school board candidates, all of them, but I'm going to say it very low, so maybe you'll sit down and listen. You'll notice that all of our school board candidates work very cooperatively with limited resources. So I'd like to thank you in advance for sharing the mic. Having a little technical difficulties. But let me just say a word about the election before we start the third panel. As you know, Florida has a majority rule, which means that to win this seat on the school board, candidate must receive 50% plus one vote. With more than two candidates in each race, if one candidate does not receive that majority, then the runoff will be held in November. So just in case you missed seeing all these people, if none of them win outright, then they will be back on the ballot in November. But you can help by going to the polls starting tomorrow if you want to vote in early voting. There are 3 places for early voting: the Downtown Supervisor's Office, the Millhoppe Library, and the Tower Road Library. You can also call the Office of Supervisor of Elections and request an absentee ballot, or you can go to the polls on August 24th and vote on that day. So there is one of 3 ways that you can vote. If you have any questions, please call the Office of the Supervisor of Elections, and they have all the answers right there. So now I will turn the panel over to our third moderator, former president of the League, Crystal Goddison.
Good afternoon. My name is Crystal Goodison. I'll be your moderator for the District 5 School Board Forum. There are 4 candidates for this race: Jennifer Deachin, Carol Oyanarty, Chris Smiley, and Jancy Vinson. Barbara stated this at the beginning, but just to let everybody know that everybody in Alachua County can vote in this school board race. The candidates themselves must reside within District 5, but everybody can vote, so I hope you all will. The format of the forum will be as follows. Each candidate will have 1 minute for an opening remark, and then we'll follow with some questions prepared by the League, in which each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to respond, and then we'll follow up with some closing statements, and you'll each have 1 minute for that. So candidates, please be aware of the timekeepers in the front row. They'll indicate your remaining time. And we'll go ahead and begin with the opening statements. Mrs. Deachin, we'll start with you.
Hello, Jennifer Deachin, District 5, and I'm here because I actually have 4 children. And my child that is actually at Eastside, and I have a child that's over at St. Pat's. And I believe in reciprocity. I don't think any one individual got here by themselves. I think that we all used our community, we used our parents, we used our peers, we used our businesses in order to get where we are. I'm a huge education advocate. I actually just graduated with my PhD in clinical psychology. I'm actually applying for law school after I study for my LSAT. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Deachin. Ms. Oyanarty, your opening statement.
Thank you. I'm Carol Oyanarty, a lifelong resident of Gainesville. I'm a public school product. My husband is, our 3 sons, Tony, Bobby, and Brian, and the 5 most pleasurable things in my life, my grandchildren. And yes, they are one of the reasons I'm running for school board. I have been a volunteer in our community in every way, every capacity possible. Almost 40 years in the schools and in the community. I'm a former Junior Women's Club member, Women's Club, Board of Directors for the Chamber, Education Council Chair for the Chamber, founding person really for the Teacher of the Year program, my support of teachers. I've done almost everything I can in the community, never being paid. I feel like I have one last shot at my age to do something for education to really make a difference, and that's to run for school board. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Oyanarty. Mr. Smiley, your opening statement.
Chris Smiley. I graduated from the University of Florida. I work in education research. I'm also a writer for a science and philosophy journal. My work in education has enabled me to understand the fundamental problems of education in the entire state that affects every school. My goal is to implement a serious reform here in Alachua County, bringing the best materials and programs to help foster more critical thought, help students truly understand concepts and ideas instead of just memorization or association. The main issue with our state is we have our standards, but the way that they're translated into tests and materials is highly ineffective. We all know that the FCAT is an awful test, but it's not just the test that's an issue. Our daily worksheets, our teaching methods all reflect that. That's why they call it teaching of the test. But there are solutions. There are solutions that we can implement here at the district level. We have the flexibility to purchase our own materials, use our own teaching methods, and that's what I'm going to implement. Aside from core issues with education, I want to see a recycling program in all of our schools. I want to see improved school nutrition, not just frozen foods from the U.S. Food Service. So if you want someone with a true understanding of the system and educational theory and practice, please support me.
Thank you, Mr. Smiley. Ms. Vinson, your opening statement.
Good afternoon. My name is Jancy Vincent, candidate for District 5. The reason I'm running for several reasons. I was born, raised in Gainesville, so I have an investment here. I had three sisters that taught in Alachua County. I'm a parent of 2 godchildren. See, the sad thing about it, years ago, I'm in law enforcement. Education running for school board was never of interest. But since I adopted these kids, I'm a legal guardian. I'm not adoption, but I'm a legal over these kids for 7 years. Education has opened my eyes. We need strong leadership. We need somebody to advocate for kids. We need someone in there who would do what's right and just for everybody. When I look at board meetings, and I see that you have one board member wants to do what's right, and you have the others, for whatever reason, push us to the side or make us feel uncomfortable. No, you need someone strong like me to go to the board, do what's right, do what's fair, stand up, ask the right questions, and do right for our county. And that's give a best education for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vinson. For our first question, we'll begin with Ms. Oyenarty. Do you think the current school system's financial resources can be better allocated? If so, how?
I think they can. The problem that our school system has is almost all the programs are mandated and they don't come with funding. So it's really interesting. We're one of the highest paying taxes in the state. I was on the Citizens for Strong Schools Committee that helped pass the 1 mill, which 65% of the county voted for. I think that we need to look line item by line item and how we can save money, and we have to keep the cuts as far away from the classroom as possible. It cannot impact the children. They're already getting impacted. But our biggest challenge with our budget is we're 49th in funding for the whole United States of America, and we have mandates from Washington and Tallahassee. So from what we have and our community support, we have to use it diligently, putting it to the students and to the children, to the teachers. But also my goal is to be a bridge between the business community and the educational community, which I have strong relations with. I proved it with the Teacher of the Year. In 3 days, went to the chamber phones, worked the phones, and came up with $20,000 the business community anteed up for teachers. We can do this, and it won't cost the business community a lot of money. They want to participate. So we have great resources, and strong schools make a strong community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Oyenarty. Mr. Smiley, your answer?
For the question on use of funding, we pour a lot of money into ineffective test materials, as I mentioned before. I will replace ineffective methods with more effective ones. Here's one example. For decades, school systems have been dependent upon multiple choice. There are so many flaws that accompany this. Simple changes to the way questions are worded, to the way we're teaching in our classrooms, will have a profound impact on our graduation rates and the way our students are passing our tests. If we use questions with open-ended answers, we allow students to express their ideas when they might not have the same knowledge base as other students, but the same intellect base, because a lot of times we're using multiple choice to test analytical skills, but vocabulary shouldn't play a part in that. It's a process. So there are simple changes we can make into our schools that will have an impact to use our funds in the right sorts of ways.
Thank you, Mr. Smiley. Ms. Vinson, your answer?
Could you repeat the question one more time?
Of course. Do you think the current school system's financial resources can be better allocated? If so, how?
Yes, I believe they can. First of all, we need to look at our budget, look at our expenditure, see what we're spending, see we're using duplication of services and eliminate those. Also, we got to look at top. As you know, we need the bottom. We need our teachers, not non-instructional employees. They are important. Right now, they're the lowest paid. So we definitely need to retain them and attract them to come, because you know we got smaller class sizes now. We need them. Also, we need to look at paper reduction when it comes to energy conservation, saving money. Those savings could go back towards our salaries. Yes, we could do a better job with our resources. We got it there. We got good resources in our community. We need to tap on some of those. We need to look at our business leaders. We need to look at our universities, our colleges, and help them to partnership with us and make this a stronger education system. You know, we have the University of Florida is #1 in my mind as the university, and we have the better in health. So we need to have public education is the same, and we can. We have the resources right here. We just need to tap into them and quit doing wasteful spending. We don't have time for that no more. We pay the highest taxes, and we need better services. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vincent. Ms. Deachin, your answer?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Do you think the current school system's financial resources can be better allocated? If so, how?
The financial resources can definitely be allocated a lot better. It starts with leadership. With your leadership, if you have the proper leadership, you'll get your transparency, you'll get your fiscal responsibility, and you'll get your accountability. It always starts from the top, but your money needs to start from the bottom, which is your children, and work on up. And with that, with the transparency, you're going to be able to show your community where your money's going. And if you make your leader accountable for those monies, then you'll, again, know where your money's going. And making him accountable is very important. When you have a superintendent that has now hired or is going to hire his wife as the super nanny principal on all the principals, you have an issue. If you can't govern your principals correctly, and if you don't trust them in order to run their schools correctly, you have an issue. Your leadership is the biggest problem.
Thank you, Ms. Deachin. For our next question, we'll begin with Mr. Smiley. How do you propose to address the high school dropout rate?
Well, with some of the methods I mentioned in my last answer, when you use less multiple choice-based materials, students that are falling behind, that are lower performing, are going to be able to truly understand the concepts and ideas if we're using materials that cater to them, that would cater to any student. With the dropout rate, you know, our students in our classrooms, they're not motivated by intellectual curiosity. Often they're just motivated by fear. When your student comes home, do they have interesting things to talk about? Are they talking about philosophical issues? I mean, we just don't have the quality here in Alachua County. But one thing that I will do is I'm going to donate a portion of my salary to have introductory philosophy materials available for all of our public schools. There are simple solutions that we can make, and I believe the school board member should have the responsibility of doing that.
Thank you, Mr. Smiley. Ms. Vincent, your answer?
Yes. First, in order to address the high dropout rate, we need to look and see what is going on with our kids. What is keeping them from doing what they need to do? What we need to motivate them, to keep them inspired, feel a part of. That's the first thing. The second thing is we got to have personnel in there in the school system that care, committed in serving our kids and making sure that they could look up to them as mentors and feel a part of. One of the things that I'm concerned with the Department of Correction is I see a high increase of kids coming to our department incarcerated because of dropout rates. They're committing to the life of crime. We need to change that. We need to go and do prevention in the front. We need to make sure that we have strong, committed people in our school system. Also, we need a partnership with, again, the University of Florida, Santa Fe, and our organizations, Greek organizations, to adopt a school or provide tutoring programs for these kids. Sometimes all they need is a big brother, big sister to look up to. I know me. When I was in school, I'm the 10th of 11 children. The community pitched in and made me special, made me feel always wanted to achieve higher. And that's what we need to do with those kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vincent.